Hey, hi guys. Good morning to all. Yep. So I hope everybody know what we are going to discuss. As I already informed you that there is a workshop where you will learn about how to work with ASP.NET Core MVC 3.1 integration with Entity Framework Core. Integration with Entity Framework Core. That is what we are going to do. Generally, when it comes to .NET development, I hope like everybody know .NET was released in the market in the year 2002, and from the 2002 so far, like if we can go with 2014, we have what ASP.NET is there in the market. ASP.NET is there, and we have like 4 version. It might be like 4x version, I can say. It is like 4.7 or 4.8, whatever it is. We have like different versions are available. And after that, ASP.NET is having some limitations where it contains the view state mechanism and all the controls that are available. I mean, those are run at server side. That is also one of the limitation that what we are having. And after that, state management is also one of the hectic process that what we are having. And the rendering is one of the mechanism where you need to maintain that. So all these things basically are one of the limitation, I mean, which will reduce the performance of the application. To overcome that, in the year 2014, Microsoft introduced a new technology that is an ASP.NET MVC. Internally, it works with ASP.NET only, but they're integrating what? ASP.NET MVC. Still, we have the updates from that. So that is what we call it as a ASP.NET MVC. And the latest version is going to be 5 that what we're having. The latest version is going to be 5 that what we're having. The latest version is 5 that what we're having. And after that, practically, I'm saying, I'm not thinking about like at what date it was released and at what time people are using. I'm not thinking much about that. Just I'm explaining you like practically where it was started. The very revolution of web application development with respect to the .NET programmer, like how it is getting started, I'm explaining you. And after that, Microsoft think that they wanted to release like MVC 6. But the problem is going to be, so far like it might be an ASP.NET or it might be an ASP.NET MVC web application, or all the .NET applications that are available in the market basically will run only on Windows operating system, right? Yes or no? .NET is a platform dependent or independent? Tell me. It is purely a platform independent. .NET framework you can take, it is a platform independent. That means all the .NET application, or else I can say all the .NET framework applications can run only on Windows operating system. That is how they build. That is how they build. That means those are completely platform dependent application. Those are run only on that particular operating system. That means only on the Windows operating system those applications will run. To address that issue, Microsoft launched .NET Core in the market. .NET Core applications are completely platform independent, which means we can run in different operating systems like either you can run on the Windows operating system, and the next one is going to be you can run on the Linux operating system, and you can run on the Mac operating system. That's up to you. Anywhere you people can run, that is how it is going to be. Mac OS also you people can run, anywhere you can run. That is what the main revolution that what we are having from the .NET Core. And earlier also we can build the .NET platform independent application, but we need to integrate the Mono framework. So integration of those two frameworks are very difficult for us. So that is what the reason Microsoft launched .NET Core in general. And by using .NET Core, we are able to build right now all the platform independent application. Okay, that's a part. And as the part of the .NET Core integration process, Microsoft launched ASP.NET Core, ASP.NET Core. What is an ASP.NET Core? ASP.NET Core is a technology which is used to build dynamic platform independent application. I can say dynamic platform independent applications, independent application. Srikanth, if it is a console application, or if it is a Windows application, or if it is a mobile application, we come to know that like the platform independency, where it can run only on that particular operating system. But if it is a web application, how we can measure that that is a platform independent or dependent? Generally, all the ASP.NET and ASP.NET MVC applications, whatever we have, will be run with the help of Windows operating system, and also IIS is the web server that what we are having. Windows operating system, and the second one is IIS is the web server that what we are having. But if you can take like .NET Core applications, .NET Core applications will run with any of the operating system. Either you can run from the Windows operating system, or you can run Linux operating system, or you can run Mac operating system. Like that you can do, that's up to you. And also we are able to run the .NET Core application, especially the ASP.NET Core application, from any one of the web server, like IIS you can use, Apache you can use, Tomcat you can use, or else you can go with CRUD. That is also a web server, which is, I mean, lightweight web server generally that right now people are using. There also you can run. That is what exactly the ASP.NET Core. ASP.NET Core is a web technology. I can say that it is a web technology which is used to build dynamic and platform independent application. Dynamic and platform independent application. The current version of ASP.NET Core, or else I can say .NET Core, is 3.1 is the latest version that what we are having. The .NET Core is going to be 3.1 is the latest version. The latest version is going to be 3.1 that what we are having. So like about the, I mean, this is all about the session where I just wanted to explain you about the integration process. So that is where like I'm giving you a basic idea about these things. If you want to learn like complete thing, then we'll plan another session. So the current version is ASP.NET Core 3.1 that what we're having. Generally, the very important interview question is going to be, what is the .NET framework? Okay, the differences between the .NET framework and the .NET Core that what we're having in the market. So basically, when it comes to the framework and core, framework can be used to build any application. That means you can build a WPF application, you can build a Windows Forms application, you can build an ASP.NET application, you can build the WCF based application. Any application you can build with the help of a framework. And after that, to build the .NET Core, that means if it is a .NET Core, it is purely designed for what? ASP.NET Core web application. That means it might be an ASP.NET Core application, it might be an ASP.NET, I can say that core application, or else like I can say that you can build only ASP.NET Core MVC application. Like that it is going to be. When I say about .NET framework is, I can say .NET framework is a old one, okay, old one, and which can be, I can say that, which can be used to build any application, like I can say ASP.NET Web Forms, you can build, or else I can say that ASP.NET Web APIs if you wanted to build you can, or else ASP.NET MVC applications if you wanted to build you can, or else ASP.NET Signaler if you wanted to build, okay, you can go with that. understand, or else like you can go with the WPF application and WCF application, and in similar way Windows Forms applications if you wanted to build, etc. Any application you can build if it is a .NET framework. If it is a .NET framework, you can build any type of application. It doesn't matter that. And also these applications can run only on Windows OS. These applications can run only on the Windows operating system. And also it is not an open source. It is not an open source. What does it mean? The framework was designed by the Microsoft and they are giving it you the DLL. And once if the DLL is giving it to you, you can't able to modify it. That is how it is going to be. You're not able to modify that particular one. That is how it was built. Okay, it is not an open source. But when I say about .NET Core is basically comes with a version something like 1, 2, 3 like that. And the framework version is going to be the latest version is 4.8. I can say. And the .NET Core is going to be the latest version 3.1. That what I can say. Now, what is .NET Core? .NET Core means what? It is a new framework which is similar to the .NET only and maintained by Microsoft, and the code is maintained by the GitHub. Okay, it is a new framework maintained by Microsoft and the .NET community on GitHub. .NET community on GitHub, that what we are having. And it is completely open source. Open source means anybody can modify it. That means once if they can use that, they can download the complete source code from the GitHub and they can customize the framework even. That is also possible. And also it can run on different operating system. As I told you that we have like Windows operating system is available where you can run, and in similar way Linux you can run. And at the same time, right now only these 3 operating system it is targeted: Windows, Linux and Mac OS. And it is not having like all the applications, like whatever the applications we are having here, like ASP.NET Web Forms, ASP.NET Web API, and ASP.NET MVC, Signal or WPF, WCF, all these applications are not available. By using .NET Core, especially we can build the applications like ASP.NET, okay, ASP.NET Core applications you can build, and also universal, okay, universal Windows apps. Universal Windows apps you can build. That's it. Only these 2 types of applications you can build. That's it. We can't able to build that. Remaining applications like WCF, you can't able to build, and Signaler you can't able to build right now at this point of time. And in similar way, Web Forms is not supported. WPF is not supported. So like that, different applications you can't able to build by using .NET Core at this point of time. Might be in future, you will get like more updations so that you can build anything. So this is what the basic difference between the framework and the core. And immediately the next question is going to be, Srikanth, you're explaining about, you're talking about like ASP.NET MVC Core. Is that ASP.NET Core and ASP.NET MVC Core, both are different or similar? I can say both are different. Okay, the way how we are having ASP.NET traditional web forms application development, in similar way ASP.NET MVC in the normal framework, at the same time here also the same. That means ASP.NET Core is different, and at the same time ASP.NET Core MVC is different. ASP.NET Core is different and ASP.NET Core MVC is different. What exactly it is? It is the redesign of, okay, redesign of ASP.NET. It is completely redesign of ASP.NET and can be used to build, web applications, I can say, which can be used to build what? Web applications in general. And also here we don't have web forms. That means we don't have any kind of server side control, and we don't have anything apart from that one. We don't have like any web forms, and majorly it comes with like 3 flavors, guys. The first one is going to be, you can have what? MVC is available, and the second one is going to be Razor Pages is available, and the third one is going to be Web APIs are available. That's it. When I say about like ASP.NET Core, we have 3 things are available. The first one is the MVC, and second one is the Razor pages, and the third one is going to be Web API. They are the three things that what you can build. That's it, by using ASP.NET Core. And what is the purpose of that? That is also used to build what? Web applications only. Web applications only. And these applications are platform independent, I can say. And these applications are platform independent, I can say. Independent. I can say that a platform independent. Now here we have like three types of, we don't have the web form, and it comes with like three flavors. Either you can build ASP.NET Core MVC, ASP.NET Core Razor web pages, and then ASP.NET Core web APIs. That's up to you. Why should we use, like right now, majority of the market in IT industry, if it is a new project, completely they're developed with the help of core only. And suppose if the project is completely on ASP.NET, they are migrating to MVC5. Right now, the future, I mean, the current market is completely with MVC5 only. The current IT industry, especially as a .NET developer, you should know about MVC5. Then only you're able to sustain in the industry. That is how the industry for a .NET developer. And might be like very soon in the sense might be like within a year or else like next year, definitely we'll get the complete feature. I mean, complete future with ASP.NET Core MVC. That is what the reason where if you learn like MVC, learn ASP.NET MVC5 and MVC6. MVC6 is nothing but what? Core MVC only. So these two things you have to learn. Then definitely that gives like the best results, okay, to you. Now, what is exactly an ASP.NET Core MVC? I can say the same meaning. Definitions are not changed. Anywhere you go, ASP.NET you can go, ASP.NET MVC you can go, ASP.NET Core you can go, or ASP.NET Core MVC, whatever it might be. Okay, the definitions are not changed. It is an open source. It is an open source operating system independent, and a free framework. I can say free framework for building modern and cloud-based internet, I can say internet connected web applications. Internet connected web application. That is what the proper definition according to the MSDN. According to the Microsoft Developer Network, the proper definition for ASP.NET Core MVC is it is an open source and operating system independent and a free framework for building modern and cloud-based internet connected. Okay, internet connected web applications. If you wanted to build those applications, there you can go. The way how we are having an ASP.NET MVC, here also, we don't have any kind of file-based URLs. In ASP.NET Core MVC, also we have routing mechanism so that there is no, okay, there is no physical file mapping. What does it mean? I hope you might know about ASP.NET. In ASP.NET, whenever if you run any application, then the URL is going to be something like this: http:// www. or else like let's say default.aspx, that what we are having. That means what is ASPX here? ASPX is nothing but it's a file. That means I'm not sending a request to the file. Generally, like this is how the URL structure is going to be. localhost:8977 something is there, and default.aspx we are getting. This is what we call it as file-based URL. When you're sending a request, then we are sending the request to this particular file. If the file is available, okay, or else like what happened, it return 404 error, that is file not found. But in MVC, we have like a beautiful mechanism. That is what we call it as a routing mechanism is available. What is mean by routing? Routing is used for mapping the incoming request for the code. Okay, map the incoming request for the code. So according to that, the URL structure of ASP.NET MVC or Core MVC applications are something like this. We should have a local host. Okay, local host, some port number you can give, / the controller name and the action name you can give, so that automatically that will get executed. That is what exactly the point specifies here. In ASP.NET Core MVC also, we have the routing mechanism so that there is not a Physical file mapping. There is no physical file mapping that what we are having. Everything is going to be, we are sending the request for code only. That is how it is going to be. And the next one is going to be, its support for, it is having, or else like it is having great support. It is having great support for client side technologies, like you can have what, HTML, or else you can have CSS, and also you can go with Bootstrap, anything you can. And also jQuery. By default, like whenever if you are creating the application, you will get like all these things together. You will get what, all those things together. That is what the great advantage that what we are having. That means everything, like you can get the HTML integration, and you can do like CSS integration as well. And Bootstrap is used for responsive web design. Responsive web design in the sense, even if you are changing the size of the site, we are not losing any content. Automatically based on the size, the content is adjusted. That is what we call it as a responsiveness. And if you wanted to build that kind of responsive web application, there you can go with the Bootstrap. And at the same time, jQuery is also available. That means all these things are by default integrated for ASP.NET Core MVC. That is what the great advantage. And the next one is going to be, there is no, okay, there is no view state. There is no view state here. That means as we don't have like any view state, obviously it load faster. And at the same time, we can build, okay, we can build single page applications, I can say single page application by using client side frameworks, like Angular and React. That means this is having like inbuilt configuration. You need not to worry about like how to integrate the Angular with core application. We need not to worry about like React integration with the core. All these features are available. And also it is having unified framework, I can say unified framework for building, okay, for building web API and MVC based apps. MVC based application. Now, what is meant by web API? Web API is basically a RESTful web service. I can say that. What does it mean? The application which can interact with different clients, and the client can be anything. It might be a mobile client, it might be a web client, or it might be something else. Then that is what exactly what we call it as a web API. Okay, what is called as a web API. And even those clients also can be implemented with different technology. It might be by using the Java, or it might be by using .NET. Do you know, like then at that particular time, the source code has to be written in the web API. This is not the session of web API to discuss about more. Generally, web API is basically used to interact with broad range of client. A client can be anything. If it is a browser, or if it might be a like a mobile client, or anything, if it is, that is how it is kind of. So they are the basic things that what you should know before we are going to start about that. And let's get quickly start working with that. Let me open my application. I'm using Visual Studio 2019, guys. So the software, I mean, the prerequisites, as I already told you, to understand about that is going to be, you should have a basic understanding on .NET is required, C#.NET, and also ASP.NET application understanding you should have. Without that, you can't able to build. Now you can see, let me open a new I'm creating a new project here. I'll use Visual Studio 2019 and create a new project here. Let's see. I'll create a new project. Generally, I'm selecting what? C#.NET. I'm selecting all platform, and there I'll select a web. You can see there we have the web application. Generally, if you wanted to build a web application only for like, if you're targeted for the Windows, there you can see we are having ASP.NET web application is available, and followed by ASP.NET Core web application is also available. But if you are targeted for like all platform, there you can see there. You can see all platforms, C#.NET as the language I'm selecting, Linux, Mac, Windows, cloud, service-based application, and also you can build what? Web application. And even you can find the description over there. What description we are having, you can see a project templates for creating ASP.NET Core web apps and web APIs for Windows, Linux, Mac OS using .NET Core or the .NET Framework. Create the web apps with Razor Pages, MVC, and single page application using Angular, React, React plus Redux. I'm selecting that and then click on OK and give some name for that application. Let's say I'll save the application as going to be something like this. So I'll save it over there. So this is a core first app. I'm sorry, excuse me. Core first app, that what I'm selecting, and then click on OK. There you can see we have like .NET Framework is available and .NET Core is available. I'm selecting the .NET Core, and we have two versions are available right now. The first one is ASP.NET Core 2.1 is available, and second one 3.1 is available right now. 3.1 and 2.1 is available, and the latest one is 3.1, that what I am selecting, and followed by different templates are there. MT is available, an MT project template for creating ASP.NET Core application, and this template doesn't have any content within it. Second one is an API, a project template for creating ASP.NET Core application with an example controller for RESTful HTTP service, and this template can also be used for ASP.NET Core MVC and views. As I already told you a point here, there is a unified framework for building web API and MVC based applications. That means you need not to worry a separate application for API, understand, for MVC. Both can be done with the help of single. And a web application is available, a project template for creating an ASP.NET Core application with an example of ASP.NET Razor Pages content. And then web application by using MVC, model view controller, and then Angular integration, React.js integration with Core, and React.js with Redux integration. All these are the default templates that what we are getting. I don't want to go with like the default MVC template directly. Let's go with an empty one. I'm not configuring for HTTPS where I'm not having the SSL certificate with me. So that is where I'm selecting what. You see the steps here very important. But first, what you need to do, select ASP.NET Core web application and then click on next. Give some project name and solution name. Both are different or same, that's up to you. And store the location and then click on create. There I'm not selecting directly the MVC. I'm selecting what? Empty application and then click on OK. That's it. Now what application we are created? What application we have created? Tell me. MVC or core application right now? What core application we have created?
Core
application. Just it is a core application. We are not created what? We are not created what? Tell me. MVC application. Still we are not created the MVC application. We have created just the core application. It is an ASP.NET Core application. Now that core application will be converted into an MVC. How do we convert that into an MVC? That I can tell you. Okay, that I'll tell you. Now let's see the folder structure, what it contains. What it contains in generally connected services. Generally, this is used for hosting purpose. I mean, if you wanted to publish your code or else like get the code from any of the servers, there you can go with that. Understand? If you can go to click on the publish, there you from here you can publish your code as well into the IaaS or Azure cloud or anywhere, or else like CI/CD pipeline. You can see continuous delivery. Automatically publish your application to the Azure with continuous delivery. Like that also you can do that. All those things are going to be done with the help of connected services. That is the first one. Second one is going to be the dependencies. Now in the dependencies, you can see what we are having. We have like .NET Core, all the libraries that are required for you. We can maintain like all those things here. And apart from that one, ASP.NET Core libraries also that are required for you. You can just simply right click and go to the property. You may find the version. What is the version we are working right now? What is the version? You can observe that. It is 3.1.0 is the version that what we are working. Okay, all those like dependencies means it's all about what are all the libraries are required in order to run this particular application. You can find it over there. And apart from that one, properties are available. Okay, launch settings.json is available. So what does it mean? It doesn't matter, like it is completely what URL is going to be, on which port number it is running. And in similar way, like if it is a development environment, like which URL, and if it is a production environment, like which URL, like all those configurations can be implemented here. Did you find any file with respect to the configuration? See that? Do you have like any configuration file here? Tell me.
No, sir.
We don't have anything. Why? Because why we are not having anything? Because ASP.NET Core applications are not having any configuration files like web.config or app.config. Such kind of configuration files are not available here. Here, like all the files are completely in the form of JSON. That means every file you can take, that's up to you, will be completely in the form of JSON only. Completely in the form of JSON. That means if you wanted to define a connection string, then we need to define that in the JSON file, or else like we have some configuration file is available. That is what we call it as startup. There you have to do that one. So like that, everywhere you go JSON file, or else like C#.NET. There we don't have any kind of file with respect to the XML like the web config or app config. That is one of the difference that what we have. Now, apart from that one, we have like app settings, like application settings. If you wanted to give anything, you can, or else like development settings, app settings start development. If you wanted to maintain anything, you can go with that. And the next one is going to be, these are the two files that are available, program.cs, and the second one is going to be startup.cs. Now, what is program.cs here? Tell me what it contain. What it contain here? What it is?
Main file.
Main method.
Main method. So what is the importance of the main method in the C#.NET?
Entry point.
What is the importance of the main method? Tell me.
Entry point.
Execution point.
It is an
Startup point.
Generally, it is an entry point, or else like startup. Very good. Whenever if you run any application, if that application or a program will find the main method, then obviously what happen? It will run that particular one. Okay, start the execution is going to be start from there only. Now what it contain? It contain a create host builder. What this method will do? It creates an environment to run the application. It creates an environment to run the core application. That is all about the program.cs file. The program.cs file will contain what? The environment which can be used to host your application and run your application. At the time of running your application, it needs to have some services. That means it requires to have what? Some services. Those services are configured. Those services are configured under a file. That is what we call it as a startup file. That is what we call it as startup file is available. That is what we are having. Now, what is startup here? You will get a clear description about this. Startup class. This method gets called by the runtime. Use this method to add the services, okay, to the container. For more information, you can just go with this one. There is some link is also provided by the Microsoft. You can go with that. And the second one is going to be, this method is called by the runtime. Configure method is available. Use this method to configure the HTTP request pipeline. Srikanth, what is meant by HTTP request pipeline? Generally, whenever if you want to run any application, we need to have some services, some dependent services are available. Those services, like what services you guys are required, okay, that can be integrated over here. That means right now this is an ASP.NET application, right? When I run my application, you can see, when I try to run my application, I'll just click on IIS Express where you can see what happened. The execution, if you can observe, run this application once, just wait a while. It might take like a couple of minutes, and meanwhile you can come back here. Startup class, what it will do, you can see. ASP.NET Core applications use startup class, which is named as startup by naming convention, the startup class. Optionally include the configure services method to configure the application services. A service is a reusable component that provides the application functionality. Okay, and that is consumed by using what? Dependency. Inbuilt dependency injection is there. That is one of the great advantage. Okay, great advantage that what we're having. Now, generally, if you wanted to use like any ASP.NET Core MVC applications, 90% of the scenario, there are like some configurations are required. What configurations are required that I can explain to you, don't worry. Let's see, when I run my application, what message we are getting? Hello world. But do we have like any paste here? Do you have any paste? Tell me.
No.
No, but from where we are getting this message? You will get the message from here. You can see endpoints dot map get. Okay, whenever it finds the null or else like empty one, then automatically it is going to write a response by using write async method. And what response it is writing? Hello world. That means by default, like whenever if you are executing, how we are getting this hello world as the output means, because it is executing from here. You can see when I go to the program.cs, there I'm having a breakpoint on the main method, and then now you can just restart it once again. When I restart my application, you can see, or else like let's stop the debugging. I'll have a breakpoints here, and at the same time we'll have the breakpoint here. And we'll have the breakpoint here as well. Now run the application once again. So the first execution will starts from the main method. That is the common one. You see main method. From the main method, it is calling host builder, create host builder. What it will do, it is set up the environment to host this application or run this application. From here, what it is doing, it is calling the startup file. Okay, it is calling startup file. You see there. Startup file. Let's see. And in that, it is configuring all the services that are required. So configuring service means what type of services? Suppose you guys wants to create it as an MVC application. There you need to add a service. You wanted to integrate the entity framework. There you need to add a service. You wanted to implement authentication and authorization. There we need to have a service for that. That means all the services that are needed for to run the core application, we have all the services are available. That means they have created each and every service and they are giving it to you as a function. Simply you can add the services by using this services object. Okay, you can see there are like 78 services are available. Okay, we have like around 78 services are available right now. You can add anything, that's up to you. You can see all these are the services on. You can see this, all the other services. You can add like any service, that's up to you. Authentication service, authorization services, and in similar way ASP.NET MVC services and MVC core services. Like that, there are a lot of services are available. What services you guys wants to add, you can add it over there. All the services are available under the service collection, iService collection interface, and this object will get like each and everything. And what it will do, it will get all the services from here, and then it is looking the pipeline. That means how it is getting executed. The pipeline is going to be decided by yourself, like how it is getting created, that you have to decide. That's it. So this is how it is going to be. Understand? This is how it is going to be. Now I wanted to convert this core application into an MVC. So how can I do that one? For that one, I'm using what? Services dot, okay, services dot add MVC. You can see add MVC is there, MVC core is available. If you people are working with generally ASP.NET Core 2.1, there you can go with these two. Either you can go with MVC or you can go with MVC Core. But I'm working with the latest one, that is Core 3.1. So that is where I can go with add controllers. You can use it for API. Add controller with views. You can use it with what? You can use it with what? ASP.NET MVC applications. I'll tell you. So like that, it is going to be services dot add controller with views. And the next one is going to be how the files are getting executed. That means what are the configurations need to be set here. The configurations are need to be set here in a pipeline. Pipeline in the sense like one by one. So first I wanted to use what? A static file. So that is where use static file. And second one is going to be, I just wanted to use a routing mechanism. So that app dot use routing, that what we are having. And the next one is going to be, suppose I just wanted to go for authentication, then use authentication. And after using the authentication, I just wanted to go with authorization. Okay, use authorization. And in similar way, once if it is done, I just wanted to create some routing mechanism. So how can I use that? Simply, let's say app dot, we have user endpoints are available, and in that endpoints you can specify like all the endpoints. So how can I, let's say endpoints that what I'm using some lambda expression where I can write it over there. So how can I write it over there? Let's see here. The first one is going to be endpoints. Okay, endpoints dot, we have, there is a method is available, map controller route. I'm not going to use like area, that is a different story again. I'm using like this, and here what I can do, I just wanted to give the name of the route is going to be, let's say default, that what I am using, and the next one is going to be the pattern that what I can give. The pattern is going to be, let's say, okay, the pattern is going to be, let's say, I just wanted to give here, here double quotation, I'm sorry, we should go with the double quotation, that's it, right? Pattern you can give, there I can say controller. So what controller you wanted to give, you can give it over there. Let's say controller is equal to, I'll say home slash, and the next one is going to be action is equal to, let's say index that what I am using, and followed by, we have what ID is required, I'll give a question mark. That's it. That's it, guys. Now you can see, let's give control KD. That's it. This is what the request pipeline. Suppose the authentication, whatever I'm having, if I'm using that above the routing mechanism, if I'm using like above the routing mechanism, there you can see, then you may not, you are able to get an error. Exceptions you are able to get, so that I can give something like this. Or else like authorization is available. When I use like authorization over here, there you can see, here I'm not, here we'll get an error message. You can see the call to use authorization should appear in between app.use routing and app.use endpoints for authorization to be correctly evaluated. Did you understand? This is what a pipeline. That means everything, whatever you people have written here, that should be in a sequence. Okay, one after another. That sequence is very important. If you are not giving that particular one, then you may not even get the output in a proper way. That is what we call it as a request pipeline, and the same thing what we call it as a middleware generally. To know more about the middleware, we'll have a separate session for that. Okay, this is what exactly the middleware. If you know like how do we configure this, and the remaining things are completely similar to MVC 5 only. We don't have anything apart from that. The only one thing here you should know is going to be how to call the services and what are the services are required for you at the time of working the application, if you can have an idea about that. And the second one is going to be, how do we configure the request pipeline? Okay, how do we configure the request pipeline? That means first use static file, where the static files are available. To go with the static files, there we should have a folder structure. So how do we do that one? Just let me add a folder, and the folder name is going to be, let's say, www root is the folder. What is www root? That is a folder, that's it. Okay, that is a folder that what we are having. What it contain? It contain all the static files. Static files in the sense, either you can have what? You can have what? Bootstrap or CSS, that kind of files if you wanted to have, and you wanted to use them, there you should have like www root folder. Without that you can't. Srikanth, I don't want to use like authentication and authorization. Can I comment it? Yes, you can do that. I'm using the routing mechanism, and each and route will contain the endpoint. That is what. Srikanth, can I have like multiple? Yes, you can. That's up to you. It doesn't matter that like you can have only one. You can have any number as per your requirement. Understand? As per your requirement. Now what I want to do, I just wanted to create a folder with the name controller. Now so far this is an ASP.NET Core application. I'll convert that into what? MVC. As the part of that, I'm integrating a service. What service? Add controller with views is the service. I'm using that. This method configures the MVC services for commonly used features with controller with views. This combines the effects of, you can see, add MVC core, add API Explorer, add authorization, add cars, okay, add cars, add data annotation, add formatter mapping, add cache tag helper, add views, add a race view engine. All these configurations are added once if you can configure this. Once if you write the application, then you come to know. Okay, don't worry about that. So that is how. Now what I'm trying to do, let me come back here. I'll right click, add a new folder, and the name of the folder is going to be, let's say, controllers. Controllers is the folder that what I'm having. That's it. And in the controllers, we'll be creating a controller. Right click, add. I'm trying to add a controller now. Let's see. We have an MVC controller, empty, an MVC controller with read write actions, MVC controller with views using entity framework, and API controller empty, API controller read write action. Like that we are having. I'm selecting an MVC controller empty and then click on OK. There you can see. There you can see a controller class empty, that what we are having here. Understand? If you can go with like ASP.NET web, you can go. There we are having the same thing. There also we have what? Same thing that what we are having. I'm selecting controller class empty, home controller.cs. When I click on OK, there you can see the index action will be created automatically. You can see what is a controller. Controller is a class only. Every request that we are sending from the startup, it is sending the request to what? Home controller. And in the home controller, we are having what? Index action. That is how. Now let me right click and add a view page. I'm selecting a razor view here and then click on add. Now you see what happened. It is asked you to go with the name of the view. I'm using index only and then click on add. Then it may take like a few minutes to add all the necessary things to the application. Just wait a moment. The people who are having MVC5 knowledge, they can easily migrate your skills to core application. The only one thing you should know here is how to work with the dependency injection. Dependency injection of what? Startup file and the configure services. How to work with that. But those things like will come only once if you practiced. If you buy hard, like you may not able to get anything. You have to practice it. Now you see what happened. When I'm creating a controller with the home, automatically a folder would be created like MVC5 application only. Development wise, there is no difference, guys. And there we have an index.cs HTML, and this is how it is going to be. Now I'll say a small message to the user. Let's go with welcome to ASP.NET Core MVC 3.1 web development. Let me go with ASP.NET Core MVC 3.1 web development. Now you just run the application once again now. I'll have a breakpoint for this one and for this one. And in the program.cs anyhow, we have the breakpoint. Now you see how it is getting executed. Let's see here. I'm executing my application. First it gets built, the solution. Now you see, first it is created an environment to run the application by calling a create host builder. And after that, it is calling the startup file. And in that it is configuring all the services that are needed to run the application. Now I'm converting the entire application, core application into MVC so that it is registering all the controllers and views. And from there, if it contain any kind of static files, it uses those files. You can see here in the static, I mean, www root, we don't have any file. Okay. But if it contain like any static file, those files are going to be used over there. Okay. Those files are going to be used. And then press F10 or F11. It uses the routing and map the endpoint that what we're having. From there, it is sending the request to the index. And from the index, we are getting a message, something like, welcome to ASP.NET Core MVC 3.1 web development. Okay, 3.1 MVC web development, that what we're having. So this is how we are able to run what? ASP.NET Core MVC application. Is it clear how to create a empty application and how do we convert that into core MVC application? Tell me. Or if you can have any doubts, you can ask me now onwards.
Sir,
Yes.
we don't have any static files. Why you are using that use static files, sir? Then
In future, I told you that, I mean, a simple scenario, if you wanted to build a web application, the minimum requirement according to the current standard is Bootstrap, right?
yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Generally, we are using Bootstrap now, where you can have like all the bootstraps. So you can have like all the bootstrap files over here, www root.
Yes.
That is what the reason. I'm not having right now, but might be in future, you may have, right? So that
So
is
if
what
you,
the reason I'm using.
so if you comment that use static files, it will run the application or
Right, whenever if you run the application, then it takes like the static files from www root only. If we can have like outside, then it may not, okay, identify it like the static files. That is where like the folder structure. www root means it is a folder only, generally.
no,
Okay.
sir. What I am saying that if we don't have any static files right now in this application, so sir, can you
Yes.
comment that statement use static?
Yeah. You can do that one. You can do that one.
That is the
Not an issue.
we are not
Yeah,
using
sure.
anything.
You
Now
can
we can
do.
comment that we can run, or it is compulsory you have to
Yes,
mention that one.
I understood. Yes, you can do that one. You can comment it, not an issue.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So this is all about, yeah, it is available on the YouTube, don't worry. So this is all about like creating the first application, okay, and configuring that with MVC generally, like creating the first ASP.NET Core application and configuring. Host builder is basically used to set up the environment to run the application generally. Create host builder is used to set up the environment. Generally, if you want to run the ASP.NET Core application, right now we are running with IIS. If you can observe that here, when I'm run my application with IIS Express, there you can see IIS is internally running here, right? You can see that. Is it running under the IIS or not? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes.
But to run the application, it doesn't require to have the IIS. Why? Because as I already told you, there we are having what? When I select like, I mean, it is a platform independent so that it may run with the different, different servers. There is an inbuilt server is available. Additionally, that is what we call it as a crystal server is available. The server is the crystal server. When I click on OK, there you can see, am I running my IIS? You can see that. Is that IIS is running right now?
No, sir.
Observe here. No, right? IIS is not running here. It is running with what? A different server. That is what we call it as a crystal. And these environments can be set up, okay, can be integrated with the help of what? Host builder. Create host builder is the method. And by using that, we can set up those environments generally. And the next one is, as someone asked me that, what is pipeline? Pipeline in the sense how the services are getting executed. That means what is the flow of execution of the services. That means which one is first and which one is next. That flow is nothing but the pipeline, and the same thing we call it as middleware generally. The startup file is nothing but it is a middleware. Okay, this is a middleware. The file is going to be a middleware. How you configure the services and how you are executing the services, that can be done with the help of these two methods. Configure services method is used to add all the services that are needed to run your application. And a configure method is used to create a pipeline, how those services will run. Okay, what are the services are available can be integrated with configure services. And how those services will run in a pipeline. Pipeline in the sense, one after another. That can be configured by using what? A configure method. That is what a pipeline, or some people may call it as middleware also. Okay, clear now? Clear? Yep. So this is all about the introduction with ASP.NET Core MVC web applications. especially ASP.NET Core MVC web applications that are available, core applications. Now here you can see I'm not having, as someone asked me, Srikanth, if you're not having anything, can I comment that particular service? Means yes, you can. It doesn't matter that. Okay, you can comment it. Suppose let us say I'll go to here, I'll right click on here and then click on add. I'm adding a new HTML file. Let's say I'll go to the new file and then I'm selecting general, or else like web I can select. There we have a simple HTML file I'm selecting, and the file name is going to be, let's say, index.html I'm using. Let's go with index.html. Index.html, that what I'm having. This is a HTML page, and I can say a simple H1. So this is a static page, comes from www root folder. www root folder, that what we're having. No, it doesn't require, Abdul. ASP.NET Core if you learn, MVC is also similar. Both would be covered. I'm planning like in such a way. Don't worry about it. So like that it is going to be. I'm writing what index.html is available. Index.html is available. When I run my application, sorry, not from here. Stop the debugging. I'll start from IIS Express only. When I start from IIS Express, there you can see. There you can see what happened. By default, this is what we are having. When I'm sending index.html and I click on OK, now I'm getting what? This is a static page, comes from where? In which folder it is available? Which folder it is available? www root folder. Now I'll stop the execution and go to the startup file. I'll comment this one. Okay, app.use static files, I'm commenting it. I'm commenting it over there. Now execute the application once again. By default, what happened? It will get executed, the normal one. Normal flow will be called. And we are getting an output like this. When I'm sending a request for index.html, there what happened here? What is the message we are getting? No web page was found for the web address http://localhost 49378/index.html. When I'm sending a request like that, then what happened? It is showing me an error, that is 404. Why? Because you're not configured the service. Okay, the service was not called. So that is what the reason. It is not able to identify that. Once if I'm enabling that particular one and execute it once again, there you can see what happened. I'm sending a request for index.html and I click on OK. There you can see this is a static page, comes from www root folder. Did you understand why I'm taking this one now? This is used to convert core application into MVC, and this is used to allow the static files in your application which are available under the www root folder. And generally routing is a mechanism which is used to map the incoming request with which controller and which action method, that can be used by the routing. And in future, like if you wanted to maintain any kind of authentication and authorization, there you can use like these two methods. And then how the URL structure that can be configured with the help of what? Endpoints that are available. So this is all about the application structure that what we're having here. Is it clear or not? Tell me. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Very good. So that's it, guys, for today. And we'll continue the same in tomorrow's session by integrating the entity framework. As like we have only 2 days of the time for completing this workshop. If you feel like I'm going a bit speed, like if you feel like that, then you can ask me so that I can explain you for one more time, not an issue. And tomorrow's session, we'll integrate for this particular one, entity framework, and how do we perform the CRUD operations. I'll explain you in tomorrow's session. That's it, guys, for today. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.